we ready for a November election when we wipe out the Democrats? Well, I hope so, because the primary scared me to death. They turned out and we did not. And if we don't make a change, it's not going to happen. But we know God is in charge. He led me to a Bible study a couple months ago that I do every morning for myself. The slides are not working. Come on. The slides. Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. He led me to a Bible study, and in it, it talked about the significance of the insignificant. And it got me to thinking about the little things we don't think about, how important they are when there are lots of them, and we just count on the quantity of them. And the example they used in the study was a poem that was written back in 1620 and then revised and updated in 1758 by Benjamin Franklin. Some of you may have heard it. It talks about a horseshoe nail, a nail. And it goes something like this: for the want of a nail, a shoe was lost. For the want of a shoe, a horse was lost. For the want of a horse, a rider was lost. And for the want of a rider, a battle was lost. And for the want of a battle, a kingdom was lost. All for the want of a nail, just a little old insignificant nail. And then, a couple of weeks later, another article I was reading was talking about voting. And it talked about the challenges that had been won or lost by one vote. And the interesting one they brought up as their number one example was in 1845, Texas became a state by one vote. But there was more to the story than that. It wasn't just that one vote, because prior to that, in 1838, a fellow by the name of Madison Marsh got elected to the Indiana Congress by one vote cast by a farmer who showed up just before the polls closed, and his last vote broke a tie. By one vote, Marsh went to Congress. And then in 1840, Edward Hagman was elected to the Senate by one vote, and that vote was cast by Marsh. And then in 1845, when the question came up about Texas being a state, and it was very contentious because it was going to make a big difference in the balance between slavery and non-slavery states, it was tied. But Hagman was the Senate pro tem, and the vice president was out of town, and he stepped in and cast the deciding vote. And Texas was admitted to by one vote. So it means a lot. One vote. Think about that. How important it is. Yet all of us, that's all we have. It's a one equalizer across all ages, all sexes, all races. No one vote is more important than the other, but they're all important, every one of them. And votes are like nails. And so I decided to write my own version of that poem. They may be small, but they're very, very important, just as every vote is important. Here we go. So I wrote a poem. For the want of a vote, a precinct was lost. For the want of a precinct, a county was lost. For the want of a county, a state was lost. For the want of a state, a nation was lost. For the want of that nation, liberty and freedom for all future generations were lost forever, all for the want of a single vote. But the grassroots can make a difference, because we are the ones who can determine what that vote will really be. We are the most important out there for the turnout that we're going to have to face, and the responsibility. It's yours. You are the ones who will determine what happens in November far more than the candidates themselves. And what do we need to do? We need to take on a mindset of making sure that we get the turnout. The Democrats had a couple 100,000 more show up in the primaries than we did. But we need to contact everyone to deliver the Republican message of liberty, limited government, and protecting individual rights, and then convince them to show up and vote. And how do we do that? We engage all the time, anytime, anywhere, everywhere. I'll use a good example, my wife, Kay. Everybody says they love her. They might like me, but they love her. Election time, she dons a Bob Hall shirt and puts a bunch of Bob Hall pins on it. She goes to Walmart. She may only be looking for one or two things, but she'll run up and down every aisle, and anybody makes eye contact, she'll talk to them. And then when she gets in line to check out, she lines the longest line to stand in just so she can talk to a few more people about showing up to vote. And those votes, they're the foundation of every level of election, whether it's at the national, the state, the district, the county, the city. Our precinct votes are what put those folks running for office there. And if it fails, if it cracks and falls down, also does the votes for all of those that we're trying to send to office. And so the bottom line is, you are the nail that anchors the vote in the precinct, that delivers the county to win the state, to save our nation and preserve liberty for future generations. We do this by you being the nail that will not, does not fail. Because the Republican that you don't know or don't like is going to be better than the Democrat you don't know. The Democrats you don't want. So let's make a commitment for this upcoming election that liberty and freedom will not be lost on our watch, period. With that, we take the attitude as, if it is to be, it is up to me, each and every one of us, doing what it needs to be done. I'd like for you to take this pledge and repeat after me. I will be the nail that does not fail. Folks, we got a job to do. We are a God-fearing state, and we will turn to Him and vacate all of our wicked ways. We can get there. And if there's anyone here that doesn't know our Lord Jesus Christ, I would be happy to introduce you to Him. It'll make a difference in your life. God bless you, and God bless Texas.